Hi, Sophie. How are you? Cracker. It won't let me go on WhatsApp and that now. Jesus. Uh, uh, yes. Yes. I think you'll all be there by the time I get back. Yes. There you go. Hi, Becky. Hello, Chloe Lee. She's there. My little superstar. Are you all right, love? Gemma! Hello. Are you going to come on camera tonight,
I
love?
think
You
so.
on?
You know what I'm like? I don't know what I'm doing.
I can
Hi!
see you.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I'm total technophobe. I don't know how to do filters. All my ladies are like, "You're not on there yet." I'm like, I don't know what I'm
Don't
doing.
worry. We'll talk you through it. We'll talk you
Okay.
through what we need to do. Oh, yeah, I did forget to do a little prep talk with you, didn't
Yeah.
I? You can't say the S word, as in when someone takes themselves to the spirit world. That's a big no-no. Okay.
Now I've gone blank.
Yeah, don't worry. You'll get it. You'll get it. Yeah, so there's certain subjects that we can't talk about. So I will just say, hang on a minute, if you're gonna go there, because it's all AI and they just misunderstand things and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So yeah. All right. Just shared the live to myself. Oh, so we've got Sophie online. Hello, Sophie, Becca, Chloe Lee, Natalie, all sharing. Thank you, ladies. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being here. Yeah. So tonight we are going to discuss all things healing, aren't we, Gemma?
We are.
And we're not sure if Christy's going to join us yet. If she, yeah, she's taking a bit of time out. If she
Okay.
feels a bit better, she'll jump on.
Okay.
Yeah. So we thought we'd leave it up to our guides, didn't we, other day,
Yeah.
when we were going to go with this chat. But before we do that, Gemma, there's a few things that Christy does on TikTok, and like obviously she's not here, otherwise she'd be doing them. She'd be telling them all to tap the screen. So get tapping, guys, and we're going to try and get up to 10k. When it gets up to 10k likes, it gets onto FYP. Hello, Sue, are you all right? Yeah. So yeah, I believe that's correct. Sarah's here, Supermod Sarah. So she'll help us out as well.
Okay.
Hopefully. We're at 1.6k. Yeah, so that's how TikTok works. Once you get up to 10k, it starts pushing you out on what's called FYP for you page. Do you know what I
Okay.
mean? So we want to get as many people in here as we possibly can, because we're gonna cover some good topics, aren't we, tonight?
We are
We
indeed. I've
are.
already been having a few downloads today about this.
So, guys, we will have questions and answers in a bit. So, if you can get your questions ready, we'll do what we can. I'm here, not Supermod. Lisa, let's see if we can get your Supermod status, shall we? She wants to be a god mod.
I have no idea what you're talking
But she
about.
was like goddess mod. All right. So when you're a mod on TikTok, you're a moderator on somebody's live.
Okay.
You can add and remove people. You can block accounts and things like that. So that, yeah, there you go. I've put you a few more. Do you want live replays, Lisa? Put you a few more God accesses on. Hi, Lauren. Hello, Cheryl. Thank you for the heart me. So them heart me's, they come up as like fan clubs or something like that. I don't know all ins and outs. So Gemma, I've been on it about 2 years now.
Okay.
I'm just
Well,
like,
you're
I'm
talking
only
to
getting
the
started.
least technologically advanced person ever. I only opened my TikTok up to the public, as you know, 4 weeks ago, and I'm like,
Yeah, I know.
but we have a lot to share. So my guides have just been pushing. You need to be speaking your knowledge. You need to be passing it through, and people need to be hearing what we've got to say. Making their own
Absolutely.
judgment. What we say is not gospel. Always make your own judgment. What resonates.
You know the truth, don't you? You know it by how it resonates with you, like you just
Yeah.
said, and yeah, good topic. I was talking about this today with Christy about resonance and things like that. And you know, the way that we do, we're just wide open to it most of the time, aren't we?
Yeah.
So we have to be very careful with our energy, that kind of thing. So yeah, we're up at 6.5k likes already. Yeah. So some of them have got little screen tapper machines, Gemma.
Okay.
You just like stick it on the side of the phone and it's still going like that. I might order one for Natalie because Natalie keeps saying, "Oh, my thumb's here when I come on your live." Or when it's someone else, like, yeah, keep tapping. It's great. So yeah, also what they do on TikTok is battles. I don't know if you've ever seen anybody. Hi, Sarah C.
I've heard about him. Hi, Sarah.
Yeah. So yeah, TikTok battles are just crazy. They're just immense. You know what I mean? Some people do them, some people don't. So we could do a battle tonight, but I don't want to distract from what it is that we're here to do. You know what I mean? We're going to stay on topic, hopefully all being well. So yeah, if you see battles, don't worry. It's just people sending gifts and that. It's nice, but I don't partake in battles most of the time. I'm
Right.
just not a TikTok battler. I just haven't got it. Hello, Chloe Jones. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. 8.5k. Yeah,
That's a lot of tapping.
it is, isn't it? It is. Am I allowed to disclose your location, Gemma?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's from the same city as me. Work that one out.
We've known each other a long time, haven't we, Della? And we've worked with each other quite a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so we're at 9.9k. So, shall we make a start?
Yeah.
10.2k. Thank you, guys. Please keep sharing. Sharing is caring, and we know that you care. So get sharing, okay? And if you've got any questions that you want to ask along the way, pop them in the comments. If I don't see them, I'll try and get back to them. Oh, she's here. Hi, Krista. Let us know if you're coming up, sweetheart. I've just been trying to get them all to tap up to, and I've done it. I think I've done it. Okay. So we're going to start at the beginning, aren't we? Because I actually met you way back when.
About 20 years
Did
ago.
somebody recommend you to come to me for a reading, or was it at Attercliff Church?
No,
To burn it.
the very first time I saw you was at a Mind, Body and Spirit event many years ago.
Wow.
But the very first time that because you always used to come to me, always in a big
Yeah.
crowded room. The very first time we had a conversation, we're in Jackie Frith's house.
Oh.
You'd come to do a reading there. God, it was about 16 years ago now. And then we just kind of kept in touch.
Wow.
Yeah, we did church. I did your development at church 7 years ago.
Wow.
And yeah.
And so you're I guess where I'm going with Gemma is we're always on a healing, self-development, self-improvement journey, no matter what level of consciousness we're doing it at. Yeah. So we might we might have people around us that aren't into any spirituality or healing or things like that, but they're still on their own healing journey. Do you know what I mean? They're still striving to survive, to thrive and things like that. Do you know what I mean? But there are certain points in your life where you get little wake-up calls from the universe, and sometimes you're actually forced into the healing journey, or triggered into it, or so can you just tell us a little bit about the beginning of your awakening, or the start of your healing journey, or what is it you want to share about that way back then?
Okay, so my life has been a roller coaster,
Oh,
as you will find with many, many healers.
we hear that
And
one.
there's been lots of the point that I can say that the healing journey truly began was about 12, 13 years ago.
Katie,
But when you actually look back at the synchronicities, I've been able to talk to spirits since I was a little girl. I've had visitations, I've had synchronicities, I've had knowings. And I feel like there are these points in your life where you are put on your backside and then given the opportunity to evolve or remain the same. And you can either evolve, or that same stuff, and this is my opinion, will keep coming, because this game called life, and it is a bit of a game, is about continuous lessons of evolution of the soul. So the more times that you ignore, the louder it gets. So I got on my healing journey and I started doing tarot, and I came and did my Reiki 1 and Reiki 2 with you. And I've done so much training in so many different modalities, but I were almost just collecting them because I weren't embodying them. And then 8 years ago, my partner passed away, and my whole world, the bottom fell out. And I just had this on the floor moment, whereas I was crawling through the pits of my own hell every single day. I could not take a day any more than 10 to 15 minutes at a time. And I was also supporting children through that, and family members, and trying to earn a living, and trying to basically take the world on my shoulders. And I realized that I couldn't do that without starting to bring myself back together. So my healing journey has been so many different things. It has been education. So I love to learn. It's one of my favorite things, especially in this sector. But I also like to self-learn. So it doesn't always have to cost money. So I love psychology. I love to know why people do the things that they do and what it creates. I felt like that were a big part of my healing journey. I did talk therapy. I did quite a few different plant medicines, Amazonian medicines, Happy, Cambo. I did my very first, or I led my very first retreat to Glastonbury when you came.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just been many, many things. But one thing I do want to say, what kept coming prominently in my mind, one thing that gets repeated quite a lot to me of people when we talk about the healing journey is, oh, but it's never ending. It just keeps going on. So what's the point? Why should we do it? My answer to that is this. Yes, the healing journey it's going to be forever, because let's be honest, life is going to life. Life is going to life. But every single time you take away a trigger, you learn to evolve through your problems, you become happier, become wholer. So life just gets that little bit better every time you do a little bit more self-love, a little bit more healing on yourself. And eventually, when the triggers are coming in, you're actually able to navigate them and to have that really good toolbox. And so my answer to why should I get on the healing journey, it's going to be forever, I always say to them, time's going to tick anyway. Your quality of life is going to change every day for the better every day you're on it. So you might as well get on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love how you've broadened that out, Gemma. It's not just been one modality. It's been a selection of things through self-education, self-awareness, all the trauma that you've had to go through, and the putting yourself back together, symbolically, so to speak. I love that you've talked about a selection of that, in that you've not just kept to one modality, but it has brought all of that like come together, like facets of a diamond, that's brought you to this place to create this beautiful thing that you've got now called temple space, isn't it?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
temple space is actually like, it's just a beautiful coming together of all your hard work, your investment, your wisdom, your divinity, your sovereignty, your, do you know what I mean? So do you mind like exploring that with us, like just explaining a little bit about that with us? Because you actually offer something that's called like, well, you do retreats, don't you? We'll talk a little bit about your retreats shortly, but can you explain to us a little bit what is it? What would you say that the goddess experience is that you offer, or some of the services that you do actually offer in terms of what is your healing modality for temple space?
Okay, so goddess experience is one fragment of a healing modality, and it is one of the staples. My best friend Phoenix created and birthed the goddess experience in 2022, and I trained with her, and now I teach it with her. We run quite a few different courses throughout the year. And the reason it's a staple is because it's a experience, it's a ceremony. So sometimes I have ladies that come and they haven't been honored, been seen, been touched. And when I say been touched, I mean had their face stroked, had a cuddle, had been actually felt present. The goddess experience is different for everybody because it's tailored to everybody, but it's a 2-hour session where the ladies literally come in. We have a whole ceremony of light massage, fascia release, trauma release. If they need that, sometimes they just need to be held and seen and take that time. So the goddess is something that I tend to offer to a lot of people, even though they think they might be coming in to release a lot more trauma because they're not ready to do the deep shamanic work, because deep shamanic work can be a lot. It can be a lot, so they just need that holding first. So that is the goddess. But I'm training the goddess in March with Phoenix, and I've been talking to a couple of the ladies that are on, but we are fully booked, so we sold out in 24 hours.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm trying to explain what the goddess is so difficult. But what I can say is when women have had one goddess, they always come back for more. They do always come back. It's like a reset, a chakra balance, just time to be honored. And obviously we call in the goddess. The reason that I'm called temple space is because this is my temple space. It's a temple, it's a goddess temple on my garden where the goddesses reside.
Jolly. Yeah, lovely. And it's a beautiful space. It is a beautiful space. And it's very, it reflects you, it reflects your divinity, your feminine divinity. I've actually had the goddess experience, so I can vouch for it. It is a beautiful experience. But I just want to so guys, like healing, it's not linear, is it, Gemma? It's like sometimes Gemma's touched on that, but sometimes we'll have a healing experience. And we might feel like, hello, Natalia, we might feel like we've released something, yeah? We've shedded it, we've let it go, we've grown from it. And then sometimes, we come back to that on a deeper level, don't we? Because like you said, the healing is never really complete. It's like, it's part of life. And it's, I think that sometimes we do like a healing modality and then we have to go away, don't we, and do an integration.
Integration is really important.
Yeah, sometimes
people think healing is a straight line, and you start in a mess and you finish totally healed. But this is not the case. Healing is a spiral, and the reason that it's a spiral is because as we start to fix the surface level things about ourselves, we then become closer to getting to who we are. So the more we get into the middle of that spiral, the more things are going to come through at a deeper level. But like I said before, it's not just you stay in that same place you was at the beginning. It gets better with everything you do towards choosing yourself, choosing your true self. And that is why I always say everybody should get on their healing journey one way or another, because it's just life changing.
Just had a comment from Charlie, and she says, that's what happened to me. I think I healed and then it really hit me, you know. And yeah, you know, it's really like a spiral, isn't it? Sometimes we go up that spiral, sometimes we come back down that spiral. And
What you've got to understand as well is the brain and the higher self and is very, very intelligent. And if you've ever spoke to trauma survivors, or you are a trauma survivor yourself, you will often hear people say they disassociated, they left their body. We have to do a soul retrieval for that. That's something else, that's shamanic. But they disassociated and they left their body. And so they get on their healing journey. And this actually happened to me a couple of weeks ago. And I'm like, I've cracked it. I've been on my healing journey 12 years. I'm flying. And all of a sudden, something that I put in a box, the lid came off. And that was because I am now in such an amazing place in my life that I can handle it. So the higher self knows exactly what it is doing. So when then things tend to come up and you think, oh God, where's that come from? It's because you are now strong enough to do the deep stuff.
Yeah. Sue Donnelly, the healing journey is the best thing I've ever stepped into, after being an addict for 27 years. Well done, Sue. Congratulations to you, sweetheart. That is one of the hardest journeys, isn't it? You know, and I take my hat off to you. Hello, Lynn. Welcome in. Thank you, Gemma. Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? Yeah, angelic Reiki practitioner. So, yeah, the like you said, the higher self, you know, knows when it's time to go on to that deeper level, knows that when it's time that you're strong enough to handle that deeper level, isn't it? So can you just give us like a snippet, in your opinion, of how that like manifests in this physical life, in terms of what it is that you're going through, like whether you're physical, mental, emotional, spiritual?
In what context? In what I'm going through right now?
No, when people are going through that healing journey and they think that they've healed, right? Okay. So they're going on the upward spiral. Yeah, they're on the upward spiral and they're like, oh my God, this is great. I feel like I can tackle world. I've healed from it. It's never going to come back and haunt me. Like you said, you found this little box, you know what I mean? Yeah. For some people, it can be, there is a trigger point in there. And for some people, maybe for you, it was that little box. For me, maybe it might be a smell or something like that, because I remember you said, like when you've been through trauma, you disassociate. And when I see wood chip wallpaper, that is my trigger. Because when I was a child, when I went through trauma as a child, my soul, my spirit literally left my body. And I was thinking to myself, how am I moving? How is my consciousness, my awareness moving through wood chip wallpaper? But I was actually like, my consciousness was moving with the higher realms, if that makes sense. I was being held by like angelic energies. Do you know what I mean? To get through that trauma.
Are you wanting to know how it manifests, how it might look for people?
Yeah. So like once you hit that trigger, like what kind of like, and I hate this word, symptoms. Hello, Lauren. Symptoms would be manifested physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Perhaps touch on one of them, or if you
okay. Can. So for me, addictions, old addictions, because I don't drink or anything anymore, I can start thinking, oh, do you know what? I could just murder a drink. I could just murder a fag. I could just murder. So there's stuff like that. There is fatigue.
That's a big one, isn't it? Fatigue.
Overthinking, catastrophizing, starting to think, looking at everybody else and thinking, oh my God, everybody hates me. Everybody's remembering this stuff. So there's that, we call it, what do we call it? Is it the imposter? There is a cosmic entity that literally latches onto this kind of energy, because it's all fear-based.
Yeah.
So what I would say to you is, if you start to see repeating looping patterns of a time when you was in your worst spaces, you're starting to have these repeating loops in your mind of wanting to do things that aren't good for your body, wanting to like be irritable, be fatigued, not want to get out of bed, that is when I would be sitting with myself and saying, okay, what's going on here? I really need to identify this emotion. Once you've identified the emotion, the next thing I do is, okay, when was the last time that I felt like I needed to disassociate from this emotion? The mind is very clever. It will take you back there, and you can follow the yellow brick road back to the trigger. And as soon as you realize it is a trigger and it has a place and it is no longer needed now, you can move forward with action, either just talking to yourself and giving yourself that reassurance. If it is really bad, going for talk therapy, talking to friends, reaching out to healers. But self-awareness is so important on the healing journey. It's one of the most important things. Identifying your emotions, identifying toxic loops and patterns, and recognizing when things are no longer healthy for you or they're going to get unhealthy for you.
I love that. So yeah, so if anybody's like thinking, you know, that they might be in what we call a healing phase, you know, where the SIHT is hitting the fan for you, you know, like there are ways that you can kind of stop that process, isn't there? Like you just said, recognizing it, saying, oh, hang on a minute, this is where I'm at, you know, this is what's happening. I'm beginning to realize that I'm in a symptomatic phase, if that's the right word.
And some of it's not from this life. Sometimes it's past life stuff that can recur in this life. And if you really can't find the cause, that's when I would be advising you to speak to someone who can look into your past lives, can see where them reoccurring patterns are coming, because it can, especially in the time that we're in now, timelines are just folding in and overlapping on a daily basis. It's very confusing for people.
Natalie's put, I'd love to visit, but it would be ideal. Well, would it be ideal while going through therapy? Oh,
yeah.
Is that a question, Natalie? Oh, what you're thinking? Thank you, Cheryl.
At one point, I was doing therapy, healing modalities, pilgrimages to Glastonbury. I was doing the case is always right. We're always looking externally. We're always looking externally, which is the same with when we start to really go into our healing journey. So what I would say is sit with that question in your heart and say, am I able to deal with having a healing session and an integration as well as going to therapy? You know what you can do. You know what you can handle. Anyone can tell you, yeah, of course you can, but you have to know yourself and know what you are capable. In my personal opinion, I think that they go hand in hand beautifully, especially if things come up in the healing session that then need to get transmuted, and then you need to go and have some speaking about it after. They can go hand in hand, but equally, if you are already finding talk therapy is a lot for you, I would not rock the boat with anything else.
Good advice, though. Good advice. Yeah, it is. And you always say this, don't you, Gemma? Know thyself.
Know thyself. It's my trademark saying.
Yeah, so you're like, know thyself, yeah. Even Kate's putting in comments, yeah. Know thyself. So yeah, it really is about knowing when your cup's full or your plate is full, isn't it? And that kind of thing. Hello, Linz, welcome in. Okay, so I just want to go back a little bit as well, Gemma, because you talked about like when in the goddess experience, you talked about like the fascia. So that's just for context, the fascia is the tissue under the skin, isn't it, that holds the muscle. It's like, so it's a network of energy, really, isn't it? That
it's made up of 90%. The fascia is made up of 90% water. Interestingly, the womb is also made up of fascia. You can say it either way. And if you look at scientifically, because I'm a very science person, I love how science meets spirituality. Dangles all in. So if you look at any studies regarding water holding energy, if anybody's ever done the rice test where you speak horrible to one rice and nice to the other, Yeah, or if you look at the there's many tests online that show you when they speak different emotions into water, what it does to that molecular structure of the water. So our fascia holds everything. So just we don't even have to touch you. Some people don't like to be touched. We're just pulling our hands across the body and moving it slowly across the fascia, and then you can feel these subtle changes in heat, in like can be hot, can be cold, can feel tingly, can feel like it's almost pushing you away. And just doing that full like check over the fascia, you can feel these different things. I mean, you can go one step further. I do have a huge book on metaphysical anatomy and physiology, which tells you what different traumas live in the body and where. So everything lives somewhere in the body. So yeah, and obviously the womb is made up completely of fascia, and that's a whole nother modality that I do when I do my womb healing.
Mm. Yeah. Jackie, you must be psychic. Your
Hey,
name,
Jackie!
your
I
name were
just
mentioned
mentioned your
earlier.
name, Jackie.
We're just saying, Gemma, when Gemma met me at me at yours, and she'd seen me. Yeah, that's it. Why? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. That's why. You know, Gemma used to go over to your house, didn't she? Okay, yeah. So that's the fascia and trauma. You know, obviously we can hold trauma everywhere in our body, can't we? You know, people talk about chakras. They are energy centers of consciousness, living energies. Yeah, remember the psychic nights. Yeah, but actually, you know, a traumatic energy doesn't just get trapped in your chakras, does it? You know, it's like the fascia can hold trauma, the muscles can hold trauma, the joints can hold any part of the body can
Even
hold trauma.
the auric field can hold trauma around you as
Oh,
well.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Is this to do with Reiki? No, it's not just to do with Reiki. It's, you know, we're talking all things healing, you know, but Reiki is energy. Yeah, it's universal energy. You are the universe. So yeah, but we're talking about hello, Clear Mind Holistic. Welcome in. We're talking about all healing modalities, but in particularly, we're talking about healing modalities that Gemma offers as temple space. So welcome in, Michelle. Oh, she's amazing. So yeah, we're just talking about all things healing, aren't we?
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to discuss with you, Gemma, and please forgive me for doing so, but while we've got you here, we're going to draw on your expert knowledge. Can we just explain to people what, for women especially, you know, men included, it's, you know, you're welcome to jump in and ask questions if you want to. What would you say, in your opinion, is the witch wound? The witch wound.
I knew this was coming. So
I particularly put it on poster, didn't I? I'm like,
yeah,
yeah,
I
love
thought
that
she's
one.
coming in with the witch wound. Right. So the witch wound is something energetically that runs through, it doesn't just run through women, it also runs through men, because men did get killed as well, as did children. So just a little bit of history here. We're just going to talk about Matthew Hopkinson. We spit when we say his name. Was the witch hunter. He was paid by the crown, and basically 9 million people died.
Wow.
9 million.
Oh my goodness.
So it was the biggest land grab for women that owned land. So they'd inherited it or their husbands had taken it. It was the biggest killer of all holistic therapists, women that work with the land. We're talking about, for me, this came through to me because I did a witch wound retreat where I did a really big talk. And whilst I was channeling, because not everything comes from books, some things come from our womb and our ancient knowledge.
Absolutely.
But when I tell people things that I've challenged light language. I'm sorry. When I tell things, as soon as I start talking about the witch wound, the light language starts flying out. So don't just ignore it.
No,
I was sat with an Indigenous woman, and she told me to check the dates of when the Witch Act came in, and it coincided with colonialism. And what they had done is they had been around and seen the matriarchal societies and the medicine women. And when they tried to bring and integrate, they thought, we can't have women getting ideas, and any women that are already doing this, we've got to basically die out. I mean, it's a whole, it's bigger than that, but basically, how does the witch wound manifest in your life? Gossip. They literally bat us against each other. You do not have to like every person in your life. You do not have to think that they are a good or bad person. But what you don't need to do is assassinate people's characters, sit in circles, talking about people, and basically sending that bad stuff through your throat chakra, and your throat chakra is connected to your womb. So it's creating magic. It is creating magic. So gossiping about people and not having no girl code, you know, looking at people and tearing them down for who they are and what they're doing, having that, who do they think they are, they're better than us. And this goes really, really far back, because what they did is they battered women against each other. So they had women calling other women witches to try and save themselves. If men stood up for women, they would kill them too. Even children, they threw them all in. So when we're talking about the witch wound, it can be stuff from past lives, because they're very, very brutally killed. Very brutally killed if you was killed as a witch in a past life. So that might show up as fears of water, fears of fire, fears of drowning, fears of your throat being hurt. But also these batting against us is a very big witch wound.
Yeah.
It's also called a sister circle wound as well. It's just us not loving each other, because you know what happens when women all come together? We rule the world. We've all got wounds, so they don't want that.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. You know, when I hear gossip, I don't.
Oh, thank you, KK. I'm just kidding. My friend KK is on. She's one of my clients. My friend.
I tend to just walk away from it. I just let it go over my head. You know, I don't entertain it. I just walk away from it, and I just think to myself, well, you know, each to their own, isn't it? Everybody's on a healing journey. That's what I think to myself. You know, I don't have to partake in it. You know,
we can only be responsible for ourselves. Watch what we're saying. Watch what we're doing. Watch if we're participating. So we can't stop what other people do, and we can cut away. Hi, Debs, and we can cut away from these people, but self-accountability and the way that we're showing up in the world is really important, because that's how we change things. Let's make women feel safe.
On that note, Gemma, you know, I know it's like one of your first times on TikTok. One of the big things that we see in the self-professed spiritual community on TikTok sometimes is, you know, there are people that will engage in that. You know, there are people that will engage in that kind of behavior and that. Do you know what I mean? So just be mindful of that, sweetheart. You know, as you're scrolling along, you know, just keep scrolling. You know, it's just
it doesn't. It literally is water off a duck's back. It's all projected. What we've got to understand is that stuff's all projection as well. It's what they feel about themselves.
And
so
I literally said to my friend the other day, I said, you know, when they're projecting like that, they're just showing you that they, you know, where they might need to do their healing work, or, you know, their own limitations. Do you know what I mean? When they're casting judgments on others, formed from their own experience and things like that, you know. But like I say, it is what it is, you know. And if you don't partake in it, just keep moving, don't you? You just keep moving, because, you know, I think it's a tough enough world as it is, and to be engaging in that kind of thing, you're just really just making it harder for yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Well, what you send out, you get back.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think to you know, like we've talked about healing not being linear and all that. Have you heard that? Hello, Corinne, welcome in. Have you heard that expression, new level, new devil?
Higher level, bigger devils.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one that gets thrown around. Yeah, higher level, bigger devils.
Yeah, I think that's part and parcel of the healing spiral as well.
Can I just say something
oh,
about that as well? So
yeah,
what
absolutely.
you've got, once you start to work in the light and you start to work on yourself, and you don't have to do what me and Della does to work in the light, you just have to be working on yourself and working on raising your vibrational frequency. When you understand there is dark and light in this world, but let me tell you something, we need both. We need both, but we need them to be balanced. There's no light without dark and no dark without light. But you see, when you start to tip up your light and your vibration higher, and you become harder to manipulate and to get to, like we've just said, we ignore people when they do stuff like that. That's when they start to come in trying to psychically attack or come in with the people around you. So you've just got to be aware, and this is why the healing part, the healing journey is so important, because the more you heal, the less you are able to be controlled, manipulated. You have control of your emotions, you have control of who you are, and this is why your life becomes easier, because you just step away from the drama, you recognize this stuff. And so yes, it is higher levels, bigger devils, but the more you heal, I think the devils do get lower, because you're harder
Absolutely.
to touch.
Yeah,
It's just in the beginning. I think it takes the big devils to get you on the healing journey.
yeah, absolutely.
I'd like to,
Um,
sorry, I forgot to add something else as well. So another thing we would say about the healing journey is when we heal ourselves, we heal our lineage 7 generations forwards. That's our children, our children's children, and so on and so forth. And our ancestral line, so our parents, parents, grandparents. So once you've been on your healing journey so long, you start, and I'm sure Della can say this, to see it in your children, to see it in your
absolutely.
parents, to see it in your sisters and brothers. So that is another reason, and this is why we say you can't change the whole big massive world, but in changing yourself, you are changing the world. You're changing
Absolutely.
everybody around you.
I truly believe when you change yourself, everything changes around you. It's resonance, isn't it? Like you will find certain people will um, move away from your life, or you don't have as much contact with them and things like that. And that's because you're on different frequencies, and that's all right. Like you said, there's light and dark, but I don't look at it as higher and lower. Do you know what I mean? It just is, and that shift occurs to enable you to do your further deeper healing, and for them to come into that knowledge in their own time. Do you know what I mean?
Oh God,
Um,
everybody is exactly where they need to be.
yeah,
We don't need to save people. Everyone's where they need to be, learning the lessons they need to learn. This is why we need the dark as much as the light.
absolutely. Thank you, Leanne. Welcome in. Uh, Through my own like research, energetic work, that kind of stuff, Reiki, I do a lot of Reiki. Um, I've learned a lot about energy, how energy works and things like that. And when, like we're talking about like, you know, if you then like start, if you do start partaking in gossip and things like that, I just want to tell you about, because you said you start healing your descendants and things like that. So, um, I had a situation not so long ago, we had last 12 months or something like that. And somebody came to me and they said, oh, this lady, and she were a little bit insecure. And I said, well, look, when you're throwing suspicion that way, you're also throwing an energetic code that way. So your nice, attractive energy is going that way. Do you know what I mean? I said, what you need to do is disconnect that energy, work on yourself, call your power back to yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like you might like walk around the supermarket one day, or do you know what I mean? But I would say to you, if that's what you're doing, if you're slipping sometimes, if you're finding it difficult, and sometimes like your emotions might get the best of you, if you're angry about something that you haven't dealt with, and you chuck a bit of energy out there, and call it back, and transmute it. You know what I mean?
Just remember,
Because
you are so powerful. You are everything. Your words are powerful, so use them. Use them like every single word that is coming out of your mouth is a spell. It's a spell. So we've got to get that into our heads, that we're spelling, and understand that we have the control to be the CEOs of our life, hire, fire, and promote, and also have accountability and self-awareness. That's a big part of your healing journey. You know, I always say you've got to be careful of people who are always the hero, always the victim, because sometimes we are the perpetrators, sometimes we are the people doing the hurting, and we have to be able to say, I've done wrong here, can we talk, pull that energy back and make it right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can I just say, no, we're not doing readings tonight, Doug. We're talking about all things healing. You're welcome to stay along and put your questions in the chat box if you want. Thank you, Becky. I appreciate that. Yes, accountability. That's it, isn't it? You know, if you go off your path, you know, you're never too far off your path to do that spiral back in the right way, are you?
I think there is going off your path is a part of the journey. So I don't class it as going off your path. I feel like there is absolutely no success without failure. We have to defer from our path to feel in our heart that our path is our path. And sometimes we only feel that when we take the wrong road. So when people say, oh my God, I'm too far gone, I've really messed up my life, I'm like, if that's the feeling and you want to continue to have that feeling for the rest of your life, keep doing what you've always done and you'll always get what you've always got. But that feeling is actually your soul saying, you made a plan. We need to get you back on your plan, your soul's path. And so, yeah, I don't think you can defer too much away from the path. I feel like if you do, it's another part of the medicine.
I love that, Kate. Discernment.
Discernment, one of my favourite words, discernment.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. You know, we are such sensory beings, aren't we? We absolutely pick everything up on a sensory level. Do you know what I mean? And what we don't tend to realize sometimes is the discernment is there instantly. You know what I mean? And how many times do we're like, oh yeah, you know, you get this feeling, don't you? Like, but then you dismiss it because you're that used to just having a busy life and going on with things. But accountability, yeah, I love it. Hang on a minute. Something's just caught my eye here, Gemma. Psychic medium Mel C, welcome in, sweetheart. Nice to have you with us. And she's put in, what's she put in? What about justice rage for women? Suppressed rage. And I put, can you give me a bit more context, please? So she's put, yes, suppressed rage for a woman, for a man world that was created. Just as Gemma's favourite subject. Now we're on it.
You're talking about your divine sacred rage, Kali. I don't think I've got a Kali picture up here. She's over there. So, Kali. Why are women supposed to be seen and not heard? Why are we not supposed to rage at the atrocities that are happening in this world, in our life? Do not listen to the patriarchy. We're not supposed to sit with our legs closed and our fingers on our mouths like they used to tell us at nursery, hands on laps, fingers on lips. Absolutely not. The women are rising. The women are going through their healing journeys. The women are doing the work to step into the divine feminine. And we are going to be the ones that drag this society back where it needs to be. So we need to be more angry. We need to be more angry. We need to be thinking about our families, our children, our grandchildren, our grandparents. The patriarchy, it's very much like the witch wound, how they've passed down this mind control that we should be acting a certain way and women should be seen and not heard. And it's utter twaddle. So I am a womb witch. I work with the womb. I'm doing my shamanic way of the womb. I do womb healing. I've read so many books and done so many channeling. The womb cauldron is so powerful. And this is where women hold their magic. And this is why they wanted to stop us talking. And this is why they wanted us to stop working with the land. Because when women come together, we change the world. So my answer to that is be angry. Kali, use your divine sacred rage. Do not go around burning things. Don't
use it wisely, girls. Use it wisely.
Use it wisely. You know, the pen is mightier than the sword, but it's okay. I've spoken to so many ladies.
My nana used to say that. That were a mantra.
Mightier than the sword.
That were a mantra.
There has been so many women I've spoke to this week that have told me they've been screaming into their pillows. They are literally feeling this rage coming in. The astrologer is behind us. The women are behind us. We have had enough. And I'm telling you, change is coming. So yes, be angry, but channel that anger. Sit with that anger. Exactly the same as when I say that you are being triggered into trauma. It's trauma. It's generational trauma. Sit with it. Okay, why am I so angry? Why is this upsetting me so much? Where is it coming from? Trace it back. Find the source and channel it. Channel it into changing the world.
So many women.
You know, I get passionate about that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So many women, like the women, like so you've just said my grandmother's mantra, the pen is mightier than the sword, right? So my grandmother and your grandmother, you know, they were born into where they had to work their fingers to the bone to keep the family together, to keep, you know, and I'm not going to disrespect any men here, because men were under pressure as well. Do you know what I mean?
For my nan, and a lot of the men were dead. It was just after the war.
Exactly.
There weren't that many men here.
Exactly.
They'd gone to war.
And we were being told in that generation to pump the kids out, weren't we? You know what I mean? So we come into this.
Can I just say one thing? I'm not a man hater. Matriarchy is not man hating, and patriarchy is just as damaging to men as it is women. Sorry, I just seen a comment.
You're all right. You're all right. Yes. So I was saying. So we're born in, and we get the threads of their DNA because we're in their womb. We are there in their womb, the cauldron of creation, before our consciousness even incarnates in the flesh. Do you know what I mean? So we're there, the little light, the egg, we're hanging around grandmother. Are we going to come in or not when mum's born? You know what I mean? But we inherit that DNA, don't we? We inherit that. There's a lot that science doesn't know about the DNA, and it's only recently that they found that some of the allegedly junk DNA is actually divinity. You know what I mean? And this is where they
God don't make junk.
Yeah, exactly.
God don't make junk.
Yeah. So the point I'm getting to with this is, when you are on this journey, it's always good to know your roots. It's good to know, because you don't just inherit generational trauma, you inherit generational power, right?
Yes.
So my journey, yeah, difficult, but I've overcome, I've triumphed, you know what I mean? And I know that I'm on that journey where healing's a spiral. Sometimes I'll come back to things, I'll find other modalities, I'll use other modalities and all that kind of stuff. But the power that you inherit through knowing the things that your ancestors, your grandmothers, your grandfathers, that they overcame. Do you know what I mean? And so I discovered that my grandmother, I used to look at my grandmother as a child and think, I feel for her. She's got it hard. Do you know what I mean? She were only 58 when she passed, and her fingers were all gnarly with arthritis because she worked so hard. Do you know what I mean? And my granddad, you know, he didn't treat her like the queen that she were, you know. There were problems. But when I discovered her wisdom, her gift of mediumship, you know, when I walked into the church in Bold Street and I felt like I'd come home, you know, I later on discovered down my pathway that mediumship had been in my family for many generations, and that my ancestors were the people that were the ones that were sitting in living rooms talking about getting a church built. You know what I mean? Yeah. And this suitcase that I inherited, you would look at it, you would look inside it and think, well, it's just a load of dusty old paper. But when you read through, like we're doing the journaling now, yeah, and those words, they get passed down to our descendants. Do you know what I mean? So I've now got loads of little journals, notebooks, and things like that, that like my grandmother had. Do you know what I mean? And I'm thinking, one day my kids are going to open these and they're going to take their power back. You know what I mean? And they're going to think, wow. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, we are. And Mel's just put it in comments. We're going to take our power back. I feel it. We
So
are.
my nana was a doula. My nana was a doula, a midwife. She was also a blood nurse. She was very into science, and she couldn't speak about it at the time. She was born in 1920, so I was born in 1981. So she was an old nana to today's standards. I'm a nana, and I'm 45. You know, and when I think back at the memories of going in her cupboards and the knowledge, she used to take me on her back doorstep and show me all the astrology. That's the Big Dipper, this is Orion's Belt, this is the North Star, this is this planet.
Yeah.
She used to have all the herbs growing in the bottom of the garden. She weren't allowed to talk about it. She used to make food and be cutting bits of leaf off from all these different places, making potions. And like, so when I came along and everyone was like, why is Gemma like this? My nana is actually one of my very closest guides. I've worked with my nana, as you know, for a very long time. She's been passed in spirit for 25 years. And she's a very no nonsense lady. But it's definitely certain things she did with me, she didn't do with any of the other grandkids. She saw it in me. But we never talked about it. So we call them red threads in womb work. We call them red threads, and there is a very distinct line down the mother line. So the mother, the mother's mother, the mother's mother's mother, down the feminine line, and that's just because of the womb, and the eggs, and the reproduction, and the DNA. And did you know that do you know that every baby starts as a woman? So XX chromosome. So every baby that is fertilized in the womb is XX chromosome. It does not switch unless it mutates into being a man. And do you know, I can never say this word properly. You might know it, Della. It's anatomy and physiology blood work. The thing that reproduces cells, it begins with an M.
Mitochondria.
It might be.
That's the messenger gene, isn't it?
Yeah, well, only women in the egg can reproduce the cells. So and all the men's sperm. This is what I mean when we talk about the bloodline. Is all passed down down the woman's DNA line. Yeah. Does that make sense? I'm stuttering a little bit, but I kind of know what I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, it's a very feminine and maternal part of the cell. Yeah, and it's only women that can pass it on.
Mitochondria. Thank you.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, isn't it, Harry? I don't know if you can understand my accent. I'm sure you've understood it before. And anyway, yes. So fascinating, that part of the conversation, Gemma. But I've really got to take you somewhere else now.
Okay.
So I want to because I think that our grandmothers have done a fantastic job of keeping that inspiration going, keeping that energy flowing of, actually, you've got great wisdom. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Interestingly enough, and this is how synchronicity works, I woke up this morning and I clicked a link and it took me to a meditation with the Lady of Avalon.
Where is she? Interestingly
enough. So, and I've lit the candle that I got from the Goddess Temple.
Oh,
for today.
Here she is, look.
Oh,
Lady of Avalon. She's one of my goddesses in my temple.
Yeah, she's amazing. And I just wondered, we only touched the surface of the retreat work that you do, and I've noticed that you do go to Glastonbury a little bit now, don't you? You know, I know you've mentioned that you work with Phoenix and you trained with Phoenix to do the goddess experience and things like that. So just talk us through a little bit of like typically what would a, if you can, that is. I mean, I don't want to step over any sacred boundaries here.
No.
If you
I've
can.
got good boundaries. I'll say no if I need to say no.
All
I
right.
don't need to say
I
no.
just wondered if you'd like to share some of the essences of the ladies of Avalon or the goddesses that work with you from Avalon, or some of the experience that, yes, Ara, she is shamanic as well. She's done a shamanic training as well.
I work shamanically with the
Ari's
womb, so
getting
I
a
do
little
my
bit
shamanic way
psychic.
of the womb, and then I also work shamanically as well.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, can you just talk us through a little bit of that? Sorry, Yasmin, I'm not doing readings tonight, sweetheart. We're talking about healing and things like that, but you're welcome to stay and listen if you want to, or ask questions.
Yeah, so the Lady of Avalon, here she is. She actually sits in the foundations of Avalon. When we go down there, we do work with her, but we also work very much with Mary Magdalene, because Yeshua, Jesus, Yeshua is his true name. Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, they visited and frequented Glastonbury. There are goddesses in the wells. There is the Holy Chalice, which is chalice as well, where they say the chalice that held the blood of Christ is buried. There is also the two ley lines in Glastonbury. So there is the St. Michael, which is Archangel Michael, and Mary Magdalene ley lines that cross. So the energies down there are a lot, as you know, Dilla, because you've been.
They are phenomenal, aren't they? Absolutely
They
phenomenal.
are phenomenal, but I've learned so much more about Glastonbury, because you do know I do go quite a lot. I channel a lot, I read a lot down there, and we work with the goddesses. So there are a lot of priestesses, ancient priestesses that used to be for the Lady of Avalon, and also priests. So it is very much a divine feminine, divine masculine. We call it the Heros Gamos. That is. So for me, I had a Kundalini rising. Kundalini is the dormant energy at the base of your spine. And when that rises, it's a balance between divine masculine and feminine that comes up. And it's very similar as to what happens in Glastonbury. There is that divine feminine, divine masculine. It's about finding the balances within us all. So it's not so much about working with the goddesses. When you're on the land, it brings up so much for you, to the toxic feminine and the toxic masculine, which is within us all, to the surface, to be purged out, to get us all back into that divinity. Magdalene Chapel is my favourite place in Glastonbury, and it is a 16th century devout Mary Magdalene church, tiny little chapel. And we actually do, when we do our retreats down there, we do private sessions in there. So yeah, and then you've got the White Spring, which is divine masculine, where you can get in, you can bathe. Most people are naked, trigger warning, in there, because it's like a Baptist place. But there are lots of different goddesses we work on with in different retreats, and just because we're in Glastonbury doesn't mean that we're just working with the Glastonbury gods and goddesses. Is the simple answer. But most of our retreats, in fact, I would go as far as to say all of our retreats and all my healing modalities, the way that Phoenix and I work, and the way that I also work on my own, is to empower you to heal yourself. Because we are not healers. I actually don't like that word, but obviously it's a buzzword. We're a bridge. We hold a bridge to the etheric, but you have got to walk over it. So we can take you to Glastonbury, we can bring you into the meditations, we can bathe you in the White Spring, but you've got to come, you've got to be willing to do it. So ultimately, you are the person that's going to save yourself. You are the healer. We just hold the energy for you to do that.
Absolutely. And that is literally what any healing modality should do. It should always give. And again, we're coming back to that accountability, aren't we? It should always give. It should always give back ownership of what's actually happening. Do you know what I mean? Okay, and hold you do. Hello, Leone. I will, thank you. Yeah, welcoming. Okay, so yes, The fascinating thing as well is, it is a lovely place to be, isn't it? You
Oh,
can feel the wisdom of the land. Every time I go to Glastonbury, there is something that comes up, and since that first ever get together retreat, Gemma, it's called me back a few times, and it
oh,
does
you know
call you
when you
back.
get the call. You know
Yeah,
when you get the call from Glastonbury.
yeah. It's like the Lady of Avalon calls you up, and you're like, yeah, I'll be there, sister. Don't you worry. You know what I mean? I'm there. Anyway, off you go to Glastonbury, and
Oh, Harry, you need to go.
you get a
When you
little
mention Glastonbury, most people think about the festival. It's got nothing to do with the festival. It's got
no,
to do
no,
with
no. It's
coming
ancient,
home.
sacred
Ancient.
places, isn't it?
Oh
There's
God,
so
yeah.
many
It's the heart.
ancient
It's the heart chakra of the
heart
world.
chakra. Yeah, yeah. It's got the St Michael's ley line running through it, hasn't it?
And the Mary
Um,
Magdalene.
and the Mary
And
Magdalene.
they,
Yeah,
they
that's
cross. They cross in front of the tower in the abbey, and also there's the goddess stone where they used to initiate the priestesses. There's loads of tunnels underneath Glastonbury because it used to be the Isle of the Dead. It used to be the
amazing.
Tor, and then it would be filled. There were loads of water around it. Brilliant lady to follow all things Womb Witch and Avalon is Angie Twidle. She's one of my mentors. She's brilliant.
Yeah, I remember the first time I went up to her, I was like, oh my God, I was laid there, and visually I saw myself like in tunnels underneath the Tor, do you know what I mean? And I thought, what's going on here? And people moving through some of the tunnels in little boats, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I was picking up on a psychic clairvoyant level. I'd never been to Glastonbury before. I was just like, oh, here we go, let's just go up there, because we've just had a shit time with lockdown and everything, weren't it? And I was like, yeah, this will be all right. And wow, what an eye opener! What an eye opener! And I'm so pleased. But I always get called up there around the equinox time for some reason. I don't know why. But
I'm
when I
back
get
this
there,
equinox. I'm back this equinox for 3 days. Equinoxes call me more than solstice, and I don't know if it's because of the balance of the light and dark.
I
But
don't know what
yeah,
it is, but yes,
four times I went this year. 4 times. I did
wow.
training. I held a retreat in June. I went for a 24-hour rundown with Phoenix, and I went when I had my Kundalini awakening. I was supposed to be going to a music festival and I cancelled it, and my womb were just saying, you need to go Glastonbury, you need to balance these energies. So I was straight into Glastonbury in the water. It was March, it was freezing.
Oh my
Just
God.
cleansing, just bringing those energies back together.
Wow. Amazing. So you went in the White Spring to do that, or?
Oh, hi Louise, I didn't know it were you, sorry. We go in the White Spring, and we go in the Red Spring. Even in winter now, I go in the White Spring, straight in under the water. It literally clears all your auric field.
So I'm aware that we've been on like an hour and 50 minutes now. So for anybody that's watching, what advice can you give to them if they feel like they may be in a little bit of a quandary or a healing crisis or anything like that? Is there anything that you want to get across to people that have been here tonight that might be struggling? Or
Okay, so a quandary is very different from a healing crisis. A quandary is when you can feel like you're slipping. So you're feeling like you're coming off your path. You're really going within. You're overthinking. You're doing the back and forth. The advice to that would be to ground. Best medicine you will ever have is to hug a tree for as long as possible, or to get your feet on Mother Earth. There is so much science that backs it. Speak to your friends. Try to move through it yourself. But if you get to the point where you're getting to a healing crisis, which means you're having intrusive thoughts, you can't keep a thought in your head other than what is going on, you're starting to see yourself slide back into toxic old patterns, or you are literally sniping at everybody around you. So you're basically becoming a problem to yourself and what you've built, then I would say it's time for a healing session. It's time for a reset. You can have Reiki, you can have shamanic healing, you can go to church and they do hands-on healing, but the key is to try and get yourself before you get to the healing crisis. It is so much harder to come back from a healing crisis. It'll cost you more money. You'll be in it for a lot longer. So it all comes back to know thyself. Know, and when you are feeling yourself is not like feeling right. Know when you are feeling like you're not happy in your job, you're not happy in this, you're starting to get triggered. That is the time to move. That is the time when you need to be going within and you need to be coming back to yourself. If you go into the healing crisis, we could be talking, and this year is the astrology is off the chart, and we've got everything moving very, very quick. We've got establishments coming down, we've got mass awakenings, it's chaos out there. So sometimes, some people call this bypassing, even myself, sometimes I call it bypassing. Sometimes you just need to close the door on everybody else's stuff to bring yourself to center.
Oh God, yeah.
Because you're no good to nobody else if you start getting yourself down that road, and it's very easily done. So just know yourself, know when you're getting too deep in something, know when you're starting to come towards a healing crisis, and that's a time to reach out to somebody for some help.
Lovely, thank you. I appreciate that. We are in some wild energies, aren't we? I mean, we are. Yeah, I think one of the things that particularly I've noticed about these energies, Gemma, this year is you can literally go from 0 to 60 in 10 seconds or less. Do you know what I mean? It's like 1 minute you feel lovely, you're all right, everything's centered and balanced, and then the next thing, it's like you're literally the horse doing the bloody high jump over the thing, isn't it? You know. And before you know it, you feel like you've run around racecourse 50 million times, been slapped 500 whip and burnt out, but actually you've only just gone around supermarket or something, you know, and it's like that's honestly it's
by design.
isn't it?
It's by design. It's by design. So
Mind-boggling.
basically, some of us got a heads up on what was to come. That we are moving, whether people want to believe this or not, to a matriarchal society again. The science says it. I mean, if you look, there are only 5 species on this planet that go into menopause. 5. And we are the only one out of those 5 species. God looked and said, these species are that intelligent, they need grandmothers that come back from reproducing, come into their crondom and start telling the herd where to go and where to migrate. And we are the only one that has been forced into patriarchal society, which is why we are struggling. I'm going to reiterate again, matriarchy is not against men. Matriarchy is a circle where the women are on the outside, the grandmothers, the vulnerable, the men, the children, and everybody else is in the middle, and we are all working as a circle for the higher good. The patriarchy is a line. And at the top, we've got the very, very rich, it suits, men. They are men, let's be honest. And then it comes down this pecking order on the very bottom of that line, before it gets to women, children, and the disadvantaged, is men. The patriarchy is not good for men also. They are overworked, overstressed. The suicide rates on men, the way that it's ridiculous. We need the circle. This is what we're working for, the circle. So it's coming. So what I would say to you is it's by design. Buckle your seat up. Step away if you need to step away. When you're ready to come in and like fight for it. But it's okay to say I've had enough and retreat. Look after yourself at the same time.
Lovely. Okay, so it's been a very, very interesting evening, hasn't it? I've absolutely loved chatting with you, Gemma.
I've loved it.
All the wisdom and the love that you've poured out and the divinity. It's been absolutely amazing. So thank you. Please let people know can they contact you via your socials if they want to talk to you about the services that you offer?
Yeah, so you can contact me on TikTok. I also have an Instagram page, which is Temple Space 444. You can just inbox me. Sometimes, because I am on my own with my son and he's doing his GCSEs, I'm not always on socials, and let's get used to the fact that people aren't always accessible. But as soon as I see what I need, what I see, I always get back. And there's a lot of my ladies in the comments that will tell you that I'm quite good at getting back to people. So yeah, Instagram or TikTok, I will get back to you.
Amazing, amazing. So yeah, thank you once more, Gemma, for coming on. We're gonna close down the session. Just before we do, have you got your drum, Andy?
I have. Someone.
Has she got a name?
She has. She's called Echo.
Echo, meet Lakota.
Oh, I've met Lakota. We've had these two together before, I think.
Where?
We have.
You'll have to forgive. You'll have to. Yeah, she's a bit needs warming. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna just call upon our divine guides to clear the energy and the space in our sisterhood, in our circle this evening. We just want the people here to sit back and relax and enjoy as the higher realms, the higher selves of all those here, and the angelic realms, the goddesses and the sisterhood. We're just going to work with the drum, move the energies, clear the space, close down the session with reverence and respect. So just stay with us and breathe as we beat through the drum. All right, Gemma? Yeah?
Yeah.
That's joined us. Thank you, sisters, goddesses, all you beautiful people. Sleep well,
Thank
sleep
you
well.
so much.
Good night.
Good night.
Lots of love. Bye bye. Bye bye.